I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering something completely impossible. You look outside your window. The sun? Well, it's still up there in the sky. The oceans are exactly where they should be. The cities around us are still standing just as they were when you went to sleep. But one fundamental thing has changed. The Earth has completely stopped spinning.
It sounds like a beautifully simple change, doesn't it? I mean, you're just taking away the spin. But Earth's rotation is actually one of the foundational reasons our planet behaves the way it does. And if that rotation suddenly stopped, the world we know would change in ways you probably wouldn't expect. Let's explore exactly what that looks like.
So right now, right at this very second, you are moving incredibly fast simply because Earth is rotating beneath you. If you're anywhere near the equator, the surface of the Earth is actually moving at roughly 1,000 miles per hour, 1,000 miles an hour, yet you don't feel a thing. Why is that?
And this brilliantly illustrates the answer. You, the ground beneath you, and the atmosphere around you are all moving together in total unison. Think of it as being similar to sitting inside a really smooth-moving airplane. When you're cruising at altitude, you don't constantly feel the plane's incredible speed, right? You mainly only notice changes in its motion, like during turbulence or when you're landing. And that is exactly why a sudden stop to Earth's rotation would be so profoundly different from just standing still.
Section 1. The sudden stop. This is where our quiet thought experiment rapidly accelerates into a disaster.
If Earth somehow stopped instantly, at t0 seconds, the solid ground would just lock into place. But here's the catch. Everything that wasn't firmly attached to the bedrock would still have its original sideways motion. At t+1 second, the atmosphere just continues moving at its original speed. By t+1 minute, the oceans begin to aggressively redistribute. This event wouldn't simply feel like someone hit a giant pause button on the Earth. No, it would mean you'd suddenly need the world's strongest seatbelt. The atmosphere, the oceans, and the surface would all be violently trying to adjust to this completely different situation. The immediate consequences would be absolutely enormous, because the first major problem isn't the length of the day, it's the massive amount of motion already present on Earth.
Because Earth's atmosphere currently rotates right along with the planet, a sudden stop creates what we call a planetary-scale wind event. Just imagine an extreme atmospheric disruption caused by the solid Earth stopping while the air continues moving. The atmosphere would desperately need to redistribute its leftover momentum. This means the air around us would no longer behave anything like the gentle breezes we're used to. Weather systems globally would be radically, instantly disrupted.
And the details of this disruption tell us that places near the equator would experience some of the absolute strongest effects. Why? Because the equator is where Earth's rotational speed is at its greatest. The atmosphere there is moving the fastest, so when the ground literally stops, that region takes the absolute brunt of the atmospheric chaos.
Number 2. What about the oceans? Well, just like the air, the water wouldn't just sit still either. You see, Earth's rotation heavily influences ocean circulation and the large-scale movement of water around the planet. If rotation suddenly disappeared, the oceans wouldn't just freeze in place. Here is how it would play out step by step. Step 1. The water immediately responds to the new forces acting on the planet. Step 2. The planet's current shape is actually partly influenced by its rotation, so without that rotation, Earth would gradually become more spherical. Step 3. Because of this shifting planetary shape, Earth's oceans would redistribute themselves differently over time, causing enormous changes in sea levels across entirely different regions of the globe.
To put it bluntly, coastlines that look completely normal to us today could eventually look very, very different. The world maps that we've relied on for our entire human history would be essentially erased and redrawn by these aggressive new sea levels.
Number 3. The endless day. Now let's look past the immediate physical destruction. We have to remember something we experience every single day, day and night.
This presents a terrifying new reality. Earth's rotation is what gives us our normal, comforting cycle of sunrise and sunset. If Earth stopped spinning but continued orbiting the sun, the pattern of sunlight would become completely unrecognizable. A single location on Earth could experience extremely long periods of daylight followed by extremely long periods of darkness. Imagine months of intense, unbroken sunlight just baking the surface, followed by months without any direct sunlight at all.
So the crucial point is that temperatures would become much harder for environments to handle. We are looking at enormous challenges across the board here. Agriculture would be decimated by the extreme shifts. Ecosystems would be thrown into total shock. Environmental temperature regulation, as we know it, would cease to exist. Ultimately, human civilization would face incredible hurdles just to secure basic survival in these wild new extremes.
Number 4, a transformed planet. Looking at the long-term aftermath, we are dealing with a completely different world.
The strangest changes would unfold over years, decades, and centuries. We'd witness a total climate reorganization. Ocean currents and completely different weather patterns would permanently rewrite the planet's temperatures. This would force surviving ecosystems to somehow adapt to new, extreme hot and cold regions. With gradual changes in global water distribution, Earth would still be Earth, sure, but it would be entirely unrecognizable to us.
Which brings us to the ultimate question that's probably been hanging over this entire explainer for you. Could humans actually survive this?
Well, the answer really depends on the speed of the event. If Earth's rotation somehow stopped gradually slowing down over a very long period, the situation would be very different. It would be a massive but potentially manageable situation. But if it stopped almost instantly, like we've explored today, the immediate consequences would be downright catastrophic, and modern civilization would face an enormous, potentially insurmountable challenge.
But you can take a deep breath. Fortunately, this is purely a thought experiment. The laws of physics are firmly on our side here. Earth's rotation isn't simply going to switch off like a light bulb.
And maybe that is the most interesting part of this whole scenario. Every second, without us noticing, our planet is spinning through space. It's an immense, silent, flawless motion happening right beneath our feet, securing our existence moment by moment.
Okay, let's dive into this final takeaway. We don't see it, we don't feel it, but if this invisible motion ever stopped, we'd suddenly realize just how incredibly important it really is. Without it, absolutely everything changes. It is quite literally the invisible heartbeat of our world.
So, now that we've stopped the world and explored the sheer chaos it would unleash, I leave you with this final thought. What should we imagine next? Keep learning, keep asking these big questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.